Microphones. Which microphones do I use and how do I use them? Here I have a collection of some of my absolute preferred microphones. I will make a short explanation of them. So we have here the Neumann KM series or KK series. The difference is that I can, for example here with a KK 183, I can exchange the capsules, and on the KM series the capsule is fixed. This microphone, the KM series, is one of the best microphones you can get concerning the price performance ratio. They are not so expensive, and yeah, they are like a working horse. So we have here the 185, which is the hypercardioid, the 183 as the omnidirectional, and the 184, which is a cardioid microphone. So on the other hand, we have from Sennheiser the MKH series, and while they give me a sound which brings the silver shimmer on the strings for you, these are a little bit more on the warm sounding size, and for me the best orchestra microphone you can get nowadays. Incredible what the sound is coming out of them. We have here the 8020, which is the omnidirectional. We have the 8050 as a hypercardioid, and here the 8040 as a cardioid microphone. But that's not all what we have from the MKH series. We have microphones where we can change the polar pattern, and so we have here the MKH 800. It gives a big variety whether to come from a omnidirectional, wide cardioid, hypercardioid or figure of 8 microphone. We can adjust level and the filters. So it has 2 cardioid membranes in the capsule and gives you everything what you need. Mainly I use this as a main microphone system. Or on the other hand, microphone I totally love. This is the same capsule as here, but as you see, you don't have the fixed polar patterns. You have 5-pin connector, so both capsules come out of the microphone with an extra signal, and you put it on 2 channels on your console, and you can stepless adjust the characteristics even on a later point. So if you just sum up both channels of the microphone on same level, you get an omnidirectional microphone. If you inverse the polarity of one of the capsules, you get a figure of 8. And then with a level adjustment, you can stepless go from an omnidirectional microphone to a figure of 8. Really incredible, because even as well for recordings in the post-pro or in a sound check, you can just choose what you need. Really incredible microphone. Here we have a Neumann TLM 170, so a large membrane microphone with adjustable polar pattern, and this I like especially because the way it sounds. A little bit later I will talk about the difference between large membrane and small membrane. Before that I want to show you another microphone which I use a lot of for the solo singers in operas. It's an MKE2. You stick it to the cheeks of the singers, or you hide it in the hair depending on the clothes the singers are wearing. That's the normal microphone you use in operas. Okay, but there's another very nice thing that I use this microphone as well a lot in bands, film music, a lot of in percussion. I will show you later. In symphonic music, when we want to have that naturalist sound, Sorry for you, but I never use large membrane microphones. I only use small membrane microphones like these. Why? In that microphone setup, hardly any single microphone is going with its 0-degree direction on an instrument. I want to have several instruments just to be recorded by a single microphone. And this is incredible with the MKH from Sennheiser or the KAMs from Neumann, because all manufacturers can give you a good sound in 0-degree direction. But as soon as the sound is coming from the side to the microphone, there it shows which microphones are good and which one are not good. But nearly everything, a single microphone of the 50 or 60 or 70 microphones I have in an orchestra, maybe 2 or 3 of them I use with a 0-degree direction. All the rest I collect the sound from the side because, for example, 2 flute players, 1 microphone. I don't want to use 2 microphones for two players because I want to have a distance to the instrument. And as soon as I have a distance to the instrument with 2 microphones, the microphones have not such a big distance to each other. And that results in a big comb filter in the microphone signals. That's why I want to have the distance. I place the microphone between 2 players, and that's why I have the need of a good microphone for the side sound, and I get a smaller channel count and a better blending of all instruments together. In symphonic music, when you suspend microphones, sometimes you have these microphones at that size or that size, and it can look pretty ugly in the optics. When this is the case and you use omnidirectional microphones, with these KK from Neumann, you can just separate the amplifier from the capsule, and then you can use this cable, which is a much more thin cable, and you can separate the amplifier from the capsule. And then you only have this small part which is suspended from the ceiling. It's looking much better. Now I want to show you my way of setting up the microphones for violins and violas. Therefore, thank you to the ladies and the gentlemen to help out. We have a typical situation. So here's the conductor, first violin, first row, second violin, second row, and so on, maybe 14 players, which means 7 rows, 16 players, 12 players. This can vary throughout all the orchestras. So we have here first violins, we have the first row and the second row, and I set up a microphone setup which you will find pretty often. That's not my way, how I set up. A little bit later we come to my way, but I want to show you that way and what happens in that way. For microphones here on the left we have a KK184 from Neumann. It's a cardioid microphone and one, in my opinion, one of the most versatile microphones you can find. And here you have a KK185. Same series, it is a hypercardioid microphone. So, what is here? The setup of the microphone. I mentioned before that never or hardly any microphone is with a 0 degree pointing directly to an instrument. Here, the instruments are held on the left side from the players. That's why I'm placing the stand behind the first player, behind the first left player, and the microphone is directly in the middle between these 2 instruments, just to gain the same level of the instruments. That's why it's very important that you have microphones which have as well a very good spectrum for sound which is coming from the side. By the way, a placement of the microphone stand behind the player is always pretty clever because you don't
disturb the player in playing. Sometimes you see it that a microphone stand is somewhere here, but then, of course, your arm would just hit the music stand, the microphone stand. So this is the right position. So let's imagine we have 7 rows of first violins, so we have 7 microphones. It's a pretty high channel count. What's happening sound-wise? Sound-wise, this microphone records 2 players, this microphone records 2 players, and this results in a sound where you not really get a whole string section. You get spots of 2 players, 2 players, 2 players. All these players are not melting together, but that is what we want in a string section. There's a pretty easy way which simplifies your work, and it's much easier to handle, and it decreases the channel count as well. We don't need 1 microphone per row, so let's just put 1 microphone away. And we can record or transmit these 4 players just with 1 microphone. Very simple, just by pointing the microphone towards the second row. So what's happening? It's a cardioid microphone. We have 2 distance. We have 1 far distance from the second row to the microphone and 1 close distance from the first row to the microphone. Because it's a cardioid microphone, we have 60 dB less in level, because the cardioid microphone records 60 dB less of the sound which is coming from the side. And that equals out with a double distance the second row has towards the microphone. The result is 1 microphone, 4 players in the microphone with the same level, but a much better blending of the sound of the single instrument. With 14 players, you just have to do it 3 times and 1 additional for the last 2 players. But let's have a look at the violas. Now your viola players, and with the viola players you have a brass section directly behind them. So in fortissimo you can imagine that a trumpet which is sitting there is directly more or less playing in that microphone, and a trumpet can play louder than a viola. So that creates a problem. But that what is working from the front to the rear is as well working the other way around. Let's swap to the other microphone, back to the KK185. And we place it behind the second row. And now we do it the same way. From the second row, we point the microphone to the first row. Now the same the other way around. A close distance and a far distance. This distance more or less is double the distance then from here to here. Again, we have the effects of the side, not exactly 60 dB, because now we change to a hypercardioid microphone, but it equals out, and we have these players again as a melting sound and 4 players together. But the trumpet here, a hypercardioid, has the dead point of the microphone in that direction. And now the trumpet is playing into the dead point, and that decreases immense the bleeding of the trumpets in that microphone. And so, even in fortissimos, you still have the sound of the violas.